Hi guys, I'm back with your Europa League review, and the Arsenal kids, the Chelsea second string, are through to the last round of the 32. This is your Europa League review. So yes, Arsenal and Chelsea both progressed tonight through the Europa League exploits. I'm going to quickly run through the games and just pick out a couple of things that I've noticed tonight. First of all, Arsenal got the win with the youngsters out there. There's a lot of talk before the game that this game might be cancelled. They'll talk about Europa League and Vorskla and their martial law being imposed in the Ukraine, meaning that the game has to be moved to Russia in Kiev, and the club came out yesterday saying that they might not be able to make it, and UEFA are like, nope, the game's going to go ahead, they're going to be there, and as it were, they did. And then Arsenal, fielded out a very, very young squad. Big games coming up for Arsenal, North London Derby on Sunday and Manchester United on Wednesday. So opportunity for Emery to really ring the changes. Couple of the second string players as well as a lot of the youth players, Nketiah, Emile Smith-Rowe, Joe Willock, and a few other youngsters also coming off the bench as well for Arsenal. So the kids came out today and they impressed quite well. Emile Smith-Rowe scored another goal for Arsenal. Poor defending from Vorskla, he put the ball in the back of the net. Aaron Ramsey, been on the fringes of Arsenal lately, not really getting this opportunity in the starting lineup, so has to settle for the League Cup and Europa League games. He got a penalty and scored. Good dispatch. And then Joe Willock curled in the third for Arsenal. But what I want to talk about is about Arsenal's youngsters, and there's a lot of talk today about Emery obviously having the Europa League to do this, having Europa League to play some of the youngsters. Are they going to make it? Last year, obviously, we saw the emergence of Reiss Nelson due to Europa League and League Cup, and he duly came through that very well and is now playing his football in Germany and doing very, very well. Arsenal fans even calling for him to come back to the Arsenal squad because they believe he may even be competing for a berth in the starting lineup. So he's obviously benefited from the League Cup. I do actually think Arsenal players will develop from this competition. They're playing in Europe, playing against some weakened sides, some stronger sides. Obviously, Vorskla weren't great today. Carrier-bag, as you guys love to call it, aren't great either. But Sporting Lisbon, good squad, decent players in there. People like Nani. Still kicking ball over there. So, they do come across some competition. And obviously going today, playing in a stadium like in Kiev, outside of their comfort zones, outside of a under-23 game where there's barely any fans, playing in a noisy crowd in Russia with, their fans coming over from the Ukraine. And I think they will learn from it. People like Joe Willock, who was a man in the match today for me, he was brilliant, working hard, putting challenges in, won more challenges than anyone else in the lineup today, and scoring his first Arsenal goal with a good, cute finish. I think he might be a good player for Arsenal and one that might step up his game. Emile Smith-Rowe, of course, a player that I like, and probably one that's got a lot of the talk so far this season as he's been on the bench. And he played a couple of games in the big league for Arsenal, and so he's got the chance more than others to come and impress, and he's done that very well. And he seems to be taking it in his stride. People comparing him to Jack Wilshere, saying he's going to come through in his kind of development. But I don't want to gas him up too much. I want to let these guys just naturally come through at their own pace. But as I said, the Europa League and the League Cup provide an opportunity for these guys to be playing, top league football. We saw Wenger do it in his first sort of tenure at Arsenal, bringing through the youngsters through competitions like this or through the League Cup. Obviously, we weren't in Europa League back then, but League Cup was obviously a place where they did it. Now Emery's got a chance week in, week out. 6 games playing in Europa League. We've got one more to play against Karabag. Arsenal have already qualified. They've qualified through top group as well. So another European game to play the youngsters in. And I just think that he could do with just fielding some of these youngsters in these games just to see how they get on and see how they develop. And we'll see potentially a good crop of Arsenal youngsters moving up from the under-23s, where Freddie Ljungberg is at the moment as well, training up these kids. So his influence could progress into those guys, and they may develop and become, you know, Arsenal legends one day. There's a lot of people saying that Arsenal don't develop as much as they used to before. Probably last sort of 5-6 years, maybe only Iwobi's really come through the academy and made it at Arsenal. So, you know, we want more. We're Arsenal fans. We want more Arsenal players to come through the academy. So maybe games like today, this could be the start of it. Like I said, Joe Willock playing very well today in the middle of the park, as he's done in a couple of games before for Arsenal, and Emile Smith Rowe taking the headlines as well. So all in all, good result for Arsenal, 3-0 victory away from home, and they'll be preparing for a big game on Sunday, as I said before, North London derby. Aubameyang didn't travel, Lacazette didn't travel, Mesut Ozil didn't travel. You know, a host of the big players, Socrates, Mustafi, Bellerin, all those guys left at home today because Emery knows he can do that. You know, Europa League allows you to do that, allows you to leave the big players at home, and he's done that duly. And I think it could work for Arsenal if Arsenal don't lose against Manchester United and Spurs and, you know, pick up a win there, then it's definitely been a success that he's done this in Europa League and uses competition. Whereas, of course, Spurs obviously just coming off of their win against Inter Milan in the Champions League, they still need to beat Barca, or we could be having a North London derby Europa League game in the near future, providing they don't do that. So, but obviously they have to play a big game. You know, people like Harry Kane playing 90 minutes. I know he managed to rest a few players, you know, in Eriksen and Son, but, you know, Kane playing 90 minutes, a couple of the other guys playing 90 minutes as well. So maybe a bit of lacklustre, a bit of rust in that Arsenal game on Sunday, but it's North London derby game, and I don't think there's any time for any rust over here. So yeah, and of course Chelsea qualified as well. They found out just before their game play that they qualified on top. So whatever they did today didn't really matter, but they did put on a performance and won 4-0. Got a bit of luck, I guess, in the first 7 minutes of their Panathinaikos had a player sent off, taking out Giroud in a sort of as a last man challenge, red card, and for me, game over then really. It was all about Chelsea, how much they could win by. And Olivier Giroud kind of took over and scored 2 great goals today as they won 4-0. 2 good finishes with his left foot, one sort of curling in the bottom corner, the other one was like a volley into the bottom corner. Keeper maybe should have done better. And Hudson-Odoi will take the headlines. He did really well today, played well, you know, for Chelsea and scored his first ever goal for the club, just like Joe Willock did for Arsenal. And then they wrapped up with Alvaro Morata, pretty much his first touch of the game, powerful header into the goal. And for Chelsea, of course, their big question marks over their squad this week after their big drubbing over Tottenham on Sunday, where they lost 3-1. People talking about Kante playing in the wrong role and Jorginho not being as good defensively as Kante. And obviously they got Man City coming up in a few weeks, so they want to get that sorted. And there's a lot of question marks over David Luiz, so they'll be happy that Cahill and Christensen had good games today, so maybe they could be pushing for a place back in that Chelsea squad. I mean, this is, again, Europa League is a chance for when players not playing well in the Premier League and not playing well, you know, week in, week out, they could get dropped easily. And we could be seeing that here with Chelsea, with especially Christensen. You know, he's a player who played a lot more under Conte in the Premier League last year. Not yet given his chance under Sarri, but I wonder now that David Luiz has succumbed to a couple of bad games at Chelsea. Apparently he's 7 errors out of the 11 goals conceded by Chelsea were made by him. So, you know, could we see David Luiz getting dropped and maybe Christensen brought in after Europa League games? Of course, last Europa League was all about Ruben Loftus-Cheek and is he good enough for Chelsea? But, you know, today, it was about the strike force, really. Olivier Giroud got 2 goals. Morata seems to be the man at the moment in the starting berth for Chelsea. I'm not sure if he's really done enough to earn it, but, you know, he scored a few goals in the last 3 games for Chelsea. Although Giroud came off the bench against Spurs and got his goal there, and he got 2 more today. So he could be pushing for a place. And I think this is the issue with Chelsea. They don't know who their best striker is. They're not going for one striker alone. They're kind of switching between the 2, and they just don't know. So they will be up, and I think this is the reason why, for me, I said that they won't be challenging for the title at the end of the year, because they don't have a striker that knows what they're doing. Pedro, Hazard, Willian chipping here and there. But, you know, they don't have a striker. But they do have a good youngster in Hudson-Odoi. You know, like I said, he got his first goal today. Javern calling for him to be starting for Chelsea now. This is an opportunity for him to be playing. To be fair, in the recent past few weeks, Hazard hasn't been at his best, nor has Willian or Pedro really been at their best either for Chelsea. So maybe it's a chance for him to come off the bench. You know, again, Europa League, get the opportunity to do that. Yeah, so there we have it. Chelsea and Arsenal stroll through the Europa League today with 2 victories. And Celtic and Rangers keep their hopes alive. Rangers got a 0-0 draw at Villarreal. Celtic beat Rosenborg 1-0. So I think Celtic now have to get a point against Salzburg, I think, in their last game to see them go through. And Rangers really probably need a win in their last game to go through as well. So we could have 4 British teams progress to the next stage of the Europa League. And we, of course, could have 6 British teams in if Liverpool and Tottenham don't do their job in the next Europe midweek. But there we have it, your Europa League review. Make sure you like, comment and share. Other videos are coming out today. We've got Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury discussed in the podcast this week as well. So make sure you check that out. It's coming out today. And we will see you soon.